do. Folks need to know that she does Trump's Loss is What You Can Do series. So make sure that you're following her, Amanda's Mild Takes, on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much, Amanda. And look forward to talking to you again. Thank you. And we're gonna take a break here. When we come back, we're gonna talk about what's happening with senior care across Wisconsin. I have some thoughts on that as well. We're right back after this on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. Of course, the Up North podcast from Minocqua Brewing Company. More in a moment.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive beer. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells Progressive beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive beer, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC Hop Water. 0 alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC Hop Water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.minocquabrewingcompany.com. That's thc.minocquabrewingcompany.com. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Brewing Company, who sells Progressive beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get Progressive beer delivered to your door every month, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. The Minocqua Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the MinocquaMarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com and use the promo code UPNORTH.
Our mission at hfotusa.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, and we are back to the Up North podcast here. This is Ben Cominos.
We are broadcasting the Up North podcast on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150. And right now we have Kirk Bangstad taking over once again.
And Patty Vasquez, thank you so much. That's Patty Vasquez's voice there from WCPT 820. For some reason, she lets us do this show during the show, which is absolutely fun. That's Kirk Bangstad, the guy who brings us all together here at the Up North podcast. Of course, Senator Chris Larson from Wisconsin, and me, Ben Cominos, from Outside the Box on WHBY Radio. And I have to say, I'm very excited about this next guest here for all the worst kind of reasons. But this is an issue that should be on a lot of people's radar. We are about to start speaking with, and I hope I'm doing this right, Nancy Ropp here with Wisconsin Senior Summit. Lord knows that consolidation is an issue in just about every industry in America right now, with a handful of companies operating a large percentage of a lot of the businesses out there. And our nursing homes are no different. And we are facing a pretty big issue here in the Midwest, specifically the Wisconsin, Illinois, and greater Midwest region area, with a consolidation really becoming a problem here. So, Nancy, I look forward to this discussion with you here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I should tell you my husband, when I got married, I knew that I was going to enjoy many years of having my last name mispronounced. It's actually Roppy. It's like if you said Hoppy, but take the H off and put an R, and there you got it. But anyway, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so honored to be on this podcast. And greetings from Stevens Point.
Thank you, Nancy. I know that's where I'm from. I thank you.
Yes, I do. So yes, tomorrow is the inaugural Wisconsin Senior Summit in Stevens Point at the Stevens Point Holiday Inn and Convention Center. We are bringing together seniors from across the state. We are interested in people. We've spent decades, seniors have spent decades working and raising families, serving our communities, and we have the right to live lives of dignity and purpose. We are relevant, we are experienced, we've accomplished a lot, and we have a lot to offer. So this basically, the Senior Empowerment Project evolved from a situation that we've been facing in a lot of Wisconsin counties. In Portage County, there have been 4 attempts, the current one, to sell the Portage County Healthcare Center. And the county board is trying to sell it to $1 billion corporation. That same corporation just acquired the Pinecrest Nursing Home in Lincoln County back in August. On day one, they fired 15 staffers. Within 26 days of acquisition, they received a statement of deficiency from the state of Wisconsin for the care that they were providing. It didn't take them long to run it right into the ditch. Now, we did not know when we've been fighting, my husband and I, Joe and I have been fighting this battle since 2017. And when you're down in the trenches fighting off sale attempts, you really don't have time to realize what's going on in your neighbor's backyard. And so the Action Network is a group of community organizers, and they could see the more broader picture of what was going on in Wisconsin. This is certainly not a coincidence that corporations are coming in and buying up nursing homes and acquiring the bed licenses for those nursing homes. This obviously is a coordinated effort because it's happening in all these different counties by these county board members who are, I will call them extremists, right-wing extremists. They have an agenda and they're putting it through all of these county boards. So the Action Network contacted each of our individual groups in Portage, Lincoln, Sauk, St. Croix, Walworth, and said, listen, we need to get together. We need to become organized. And from that, the Senior Empowerment Project evolved. And one of the things we decided to do was, we need to make this a statewide effort. We need to bring people from across Wisconsin together in a summit where we can have seniors, caregivers, family members coming together, because we have strength in numbers. It's difficult to go it alone, but together our voices rise in volume. And so that is what will be occurring tomorrow.
Nancy, I want to follow up because I find, first of all, what you're doing is absolutely remarkable. But how is it that the right side of the government here is able to find some kind of backing for what's taking place? You and I both know wages aren't going up for the people working there. The prices are going up for the people attending there, and that's if they're lucky to find a spot in here. Whether you're right, left, center, or indifferent, you're talking to a millennial. My dad's 69 years old. It could be any day that I need this kind of facility. And I'm from Pennsylvania. It's no different what's going on there. How is there not more pushback regardless of that? What kind of answers are you getting from the government when you try and push back against this?
Well, it entirely depends on the makeup of your county board at any given time. When we originally started our fight, the then county executive proposed selling the county. I call it the county home. That's what we always called it when I was growing up. But the building it's old. It's got 100-year history. The original building was built in not the original, but the one that's now was built in 1931, and it's had a series of renovations. So the county knew that we were going to have to do something about this at some point in time, but they drag their feet endlessly and do nothing, right? So that county executive said, listen, let's sell it, and we'll to Milwaukee Catholic Homes, and we'll give them $10 million, and they'll build a new building and everything will be wonderful. And when I heard that, at first I thought, okay, that's a proposal. We'll find out more about it. Well, she said what was going to happen is all the employees would retain their jobs, and when the new facility was built, we just walk over to the new facility. A month later, she changed it and said, all the employees, it's a predominantly female workforce, right? They would have to reapply for their jobs. Well, that hit my hot button. And I thought, oh no, you're not going to lie to people like this. So we got involved. We fought that sale. It failed. Then they tried to sell it again. The second attempt, a group of activists in the community fought that. It fell apart. The third time, they tried to sell it to one of the worst possible buyers. We managed to fight that back. But what we ultimately did was we created a Facebook group, the Save the Portage County Healthcare Center. We got organized on the local level. And every meeting that the county has that has anything to do with the healthcare center, we attend. We live stream those meetings. We lobby those county board supervisors. We passed 2 referendums in Portage County, one to give us the money to operate while we were figuring out the future, and the second one to build and operate a new healthcare center. And we were literally at the point of shovels in the ground when the current county executive stepped in unilaterally and put a pause on the project.
Amazing. Nancy,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I have to run for a break, but I want to make sure people know how they can get involved and support the work that you're doing. I know that you have an event on Thursday, November 6th. That's this week at the summit from noon to 4 at the Holiday Inn and Convention Center in Stevens Point. And then the website is also seniorimpowermentproject.com. Is that correct?
.org.
Senior Empowerment Project. Nancy Ropp, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. I know we can have a longer conversation. Thank you so much for informing us and enlightening us with this. It's important work, and it's unconscionable of what's happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Up North podcast and find out about Kirk's latest legal dealings from his lawyer, Fred. Will join us in a moment.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our progressive t-shirts. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to minocquamarketplace.com and go to apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to minocquamarketplace.com and typing in promo code UPNORTH. That's minocquamarketplace.com, promo code UPNORTH. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Minocqua Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at minocquamarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to minocquamarketplace.com and typing in promo code UPNORTH. That's minocquamarketplace.com, promo code UPNORTH. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC Hop Water. 0 alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC Hop Water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.minocquabrewingcompany.com. That's thc.minocquabrewingcompany.com. The Minocqua Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the MinocquaMarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com and use the promo code UpNorth.
Be noble, growing hope in every
Listening to WCP.
KNW 1150 and KTNF AM 950. And of course, live from the Minocqua Brewing Taprrom in Madison, Wisconsin, here's Kirk Bangstead.
Hey, everyone. We're back, and I wanted to invite my lawyer, Fred Melms, to talk with us tonight. We talked about federal politics. We talked about state politics with these homes in Portage County and throughout the state. But if you followed the Minocqua Brewing Company for the last 5 years, you'll know that local politics in Oneida County and Minocqua, Wisconsin, has almost put me out of business numerous times. And it's probably the craziest story that you're never going to hear covered, because there's absolutely no news in northern Wisconsin, and the only news outlets that there are owned by, it's like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Like, it's owned by the guy that wants to run me out of town. And so there's no news, because that's the guy. His name is Gregg Walker, and he's the publisher of the Lakeland Times, and he has this cabal of the sheriff, the county board chairman, and the Minocqua town board, and they've made it hard on the Minocqua Brewing Company. And there's two big things that are happening this week, and so I wanted to let our listeners know from the horse's mouth. And Fred's mouth does not look like a horse, but Fred is my lawyer who has kept me out of trouble for so long. So Fred, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. So we are currently petitioning the court, in effect, to have a judge issue a criminal complaint against Gregg Walker for perjuring himself during one of the proceedings you two have been involved in. I don't know, number 30 or 35 or so that you two have been at each other in court. But at that injunction hearing where he was asking that a restraining order be issued against you because you'd been harassing him, he gave some false testimony that you had threatened him and that you had told him to go die. I think it's pretty provably false too. When you watch the police body cam.
Wait, Fred, let's take it. Let's bring everybody back. So I was giving a political speech in my tap room in my beer garden, and we pointed at Gregg Walker when I started talking about corruption. He called the cops. He had 4 different police departments surround our tap room, and 6 of my customers were arrested, and I was arrested and thrown in jail for 24 hours, all because he called the cops and said that I was on his property threatening him, which was an absolute falsehood, and it caused just trauma. Just crazy trauma in the middle of the summer, and so that's the background that led to this. And while we were in court, he mentioned that I had threatened him and had told him to die. And Fred, take it from there. What's the proof that we have that never happened?
You've got his statements to law enforcement from that day, where he doesn't actually tell the responding officer you threatened him. We've got a couple of other witness statements who also don't mention any threats. And then we had 6 people from your tap room testify at the injunction hearing that we won that didn't happen. So I think it's pretty provably false testimony. I think there's a lot of evidence that he just made it up because he wanted to win. And, that is a crime in the state of Wisconsin. It's you're not allowed to go in front of a judge, go under oath and lie. It's called perjury. And it's a pretty serious felony. So you had asked the district attorney in Oneida County to issue charges against him on July 21st, 3 days after the hearing, and asked the sheriff's department to investigate. It doesn't appear as though anything's occurred. So with the Wisconsin statutes allow you to petition for a judge to issue a criminal complaint in situations like that. So that's what we're doing.
So just to recap what Fred said, when you can't get the police or the district attorney to realize a crime has been committed, because they're also, they have to get elected and they're scared of this newspaper guy to get the entire town against them. So it's really tough going if you're a big progressive in the middle of this town and everybody wants to get you out. So we're doing that, but I also wanted to make sure that we covered another thing happening tomorrow. So the town of Minocqua and Oneida County has revoked my permit to do business now. How many times, Fred?
You've been revoked twice, denied, I don't know, 2 or 3 more times.
So basically every summer we fight just to stay alive in our tap room. And our tap room is now being visited by people from around the country because they want to see the mecca of, progressive beer. And so it brings a lot of tourists in, but every summer we have to fight and spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees just to stay open. So they revoked our permit to do business last summer with this moving goalpost of zoning violations. I believe the most egregious violations that our business permit was pulled this time was we built our fence out of wood as opposed to metal, even though there's no county ordinance that says what material you need to build your fence out of. And we used use landscaping rocks to cover our beer garden instead of permeable pavers. And they said that that would hurt drainage. And we had an engineer say that landscaping rocks were even more permeable than permeable pavers. So these are the most egregious things that are happening. So what's happening tomorrow, Fred? How do we get my permit back tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we're going in front of the Board of Adjustment. We appealed the denial of your permit. This is an appeal of a denial. So after they revoked, we appealed that. We lost that appeal, but you reapplied. They denied your new permit. So we're going in front of the BOA on the appeal. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, myself, I guess their attorney and the Board of Adjustment and probably Carl Jenrich from the zoning department are going to the brewing company to look at the tap room. And they can see for themselves what it looks like and what you've done and everything that's going on there. So we're all going to take a look at that, then meet back at the county board meeting room at 1:30 for a public hearing on the matter, and then they'll take a vote on the appeal.
Fred, I have questions. I have a lot of questions, but I'll try to keep them to our time limited here. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams when you went to law school that this would be the kind of work you would be doing? Is battling with these, this is absurd on so many levels, right?
It's really, it's mind blowing. I think Kirk's trying to figure out how much money they've spent on this. Just taxpayer dollars just wasted. They won't even. I don't think they'll even tell him. So it's really it's just been mind blowing how badly they want to keep him from just operating a business in that county, and it's fairly successful. I mean, it's packed every most days during the summer. He's got a bunch of employees. He pays them well. It's generally just. If you look at it objectively, it's a very good thing for the area. And, the county, the elected officials don't want any of it. So it's unfortunate.
Have you had the opportunity to find out if there's anything at all on this scale that's happened previously anywhere in the country, anywhere in the United States?
Yeah, stuff like this happens. There's case law on situations that are pretty similar to this where a county board or some zoning authority just doesn't like somebody, so they won't give them a permit, or they deny permits, or they harass them. So it happens. This isn't not the first time, but fortunately it's pretty unique. It's rare, right, but it has happened before.
So let me jump in. And I've gotten a lot of people on both on the socials and, friends of mine who have said, I've never heard about this level of insanity trying to like hurt your business other than this dude in Colorado called the Killdozer, where like their county board like built a street that went around his mechanic shop so that nobody could even, a muffler shop. So nobody could even enter his muffler shop. He lost all his business. He bought this huge machine and put stainless steel he covered it completely, and he busted out of his shop and he ran over the entire town and he encased himself in it. So it was a suicide mission. He was so deranged by what the town had done. He just ran over the library, ran over the county building, and nobody could get to him because he'd sealed himself in. That's the only time I've heard about something a little even worse than what's going on up in Oneida County.
Wow. Well, I guess congratulations on being unique. And Fred, if anyone finds themselves in this sort of situation, they should get an attorney right away, right? Because some people will just be like, well, I guess I'll just move my business.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of things you can do. They take some time. You can fight at the county level. We're doing that. We've been fighting in federal court now for 3 years. But certainly there's a lot that can be done.
Okay. It's important to stand up for yourself and get the right people on your team. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing, Fred. I feel like you need a massage. I should send you a gift certificate for a massage. It's a lot of stress. We are going to take a break and continue our Up North podcast from Minocqua Brewing Company's fearless leader, Kirk Bankstead, who is in the historic legal battles up in Minocqua. Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. They have an app for that, so fine, whatever. We'll be right back after this to talk more about last night's elections on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk and Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive beer. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells Progressive beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive beer, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Minocqua Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at MinocquaMarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to MinocquaMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Brewing Company, who sells progressive beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get progressive beer delivered to your door every month, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk and Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our progressive t-shirts. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MinocquaMarketplace.com and go to Apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MinocquaMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth.
Play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
And we are back with the Up North podcast from the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room in Madison, Wisconsin. And here is our fearless leader, Kirk Bankstead.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have worked our way through the good news of all the Democrats getting elected, the bad news of county homes being bought by private equity firms. We've got local news that is dastardly up in Oneida County. But I always want to end this program with some positive news. And Senator Chris Larson, there's I think there's some positive stuff that came out of a bipartisan legislation that was passed that you worked on, and Governor Evers signed. Can you tell us some of the good news, and then maybe follow with some of the stuff you wished would have been passed?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the one to be like, well, we didn't pass all that much good stuff, but I will say on the good news side of things, sometimes it's the bells that don't ring, it's the things that didn't end up happening. And so, I will say one of the things I do think is better is that we did we had a universal ban of cell phones in schools, considering the damage that cell phones are doing to our kids, to body image, etc. This was one where it's like they at least starting on trying to go down that path of making sure that our kids are protected from all the dangerous stuff online. We didn't dive any deeper into it than that because that's where people aren't really talking. But there was other things that were stopped at the state level, which is good. There was an old-fashioned trying to force workers back into a workplace and away from virtual working, which of course would hurt the folks up north. It actually is fine for folks in Milwaukee and Madison because that's where most of the state workforce is. But this is one that Republicans are very intent. Justification for this is that this is what the private sector, quote unquote, is doing. It's just a way to exert force onto workers without workers having a possibility of pushing back. There is efforts to make sure that charges could be dismissed easier from police brutality. That was luckily vetoed. There was efforts to try and make it harder for people to collect unemployment. One was making it harder by if they were unable to show up for an interview. What more often is the case, and your listeners might know this, is that people will end up applying for jobs that don't actually exist or end up scheduling interviews that are then canceled by the employer, and there's no penalty for that. And that was expressed in Governor Evers' veto message. There was also one that says that if requests are not responded to within 12 days, then payments would be ineligible for people on DWD, people on workforce development. So there's a lot where they're trying to do anti-worker stuff. So luckily our governor is coming into place and pushing back on some of these more egregious things. There was also an effort to try and ban clean energy in terms of our fleet, which is a good way to combat climate change. There's a lot of Republicans still putting their head in the sand on it. And then, of course, the good old-fashioned going after public schools, of trying to force public schools to respond within 2 weeks or have a penalty when there are open records requests for people like trying to be able to get access to curriculum, books, and harassing public schools. Of course, those that are funded by public dollars but are going to private institutions would not be subject to that same scrutiny as they are not currently. They still don't have to be subject to open records requests or hired qualified teachers with licenses for that matter. So that was some of what rolled through the legislature. And then came to a screeching halt with Governor Evers, who still does a pretty good job of being a goalie. Doesn't block everything that we want, but he's doing pretty well than his predecessor.
I can tell you from firsthand experience, Senator, that there's a lot of these bills that I see coming across the pipeline here that I don't even cover because I'm like, well, Governor Evers will shut that crap down before it gets to anything meaningful. So it is a breath of fresh air to say, you know what? I didn't care if he heard what I said anyway. But it's where do you go there? Looks like we may have lost Senator Larson.
What happened to the senator?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a bit of a meltdown there. It's okay. We can talk until he gets back. The question that I was going to ask him, you hear about the Republicans blocking renewable energy, and I always wonder why we as progressives and even liberals in general, there he is. Hey, welcome back. I was just to the rest of the rest of the panel here. It was a two-part question, but you talk about the blocking of renewable energy there and renewable energy projects. Has there been any kind of concerted effort? When I talk about renewable energy on the show, specifically to conservatives, I always phrase it as I'm not trying to replace other things, but it's a matter of economics. If we can power society through the sun and wind, that should be more desirable than doing it through any other means. Has there been any effort to kind of position the renewable energy conversation from an economic one that maybe Republican legislators might not necessarily still be on board with, but I think might be able to capture the minds of a handful of voters that might otherwise be on the fence about it from an environmental standpoint, not justifying it, but just trying to crack this from another angle here?
No, and frankly, most of the public wants to see us move in the direction of actually embracing the science and trying to move away from fossil fuel infrastructure, right? Whether that be how we power our homes, how industry operates, or how you're getting to and from wherever you're trying to go. And the public is very much in that corner. Unfortunately, we are, of course, battling the most profitable industry in the history of humanity. And they have learned from the cigarette industry of obfuscating and fooling and really getting people to walk down a path thinking they're actually making a difference while blocking and hiding the ball of what real progress is. So we're really trying to make sure that we're ahead of that. There are tons and tons of arguments, and what the fossil fuel industry has realized, and Republican legislators, for the most part, have fallen into place, is realizing that if they don't even acknowledge that the problem exists, that the debate about how and what we should be doing doesn't even have a chance to begin, right? It's like trying to have a conversation about how to put out a fire, and with somebody being like, what fire? What are you talking about? And so by having climate deniers who occupy so many seats in the legislature in the state, and then as well as nationwide, it ends up making it harder for Democrats to even come up with plans and solutions, because there's not an equal and opposite partner who's interested in trying to do a gosh darn thing. The conversation around data centers, I would say, is we learn these things usually a year, 5 years, 10 years on, but people should be tuning into what's happening at the Capitol around data centers, because you're going to start seeing some of this obfuscation happening in real time.
Senator, when I see all these bills that are, worked on and sent to the governor that are dead on arrival, I think, when I read that the Wisconsin legislature is one of the least active full-time state legislatures in America, it begs the question, it's all just posturing. They're not doing the people's work. Why do we have a full-time legislature? Why can't we just meet for like a month or two and have to get certain things done, or else like the government doesn't work? I mean, to me, at this point, it seems like that would be more useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the argument that they want to make. I believe that government should be responsive to the public, and it depends on how much you're doing. Like today, I literally, right before I jumped in the show here, I was at a public hearing up the road, listening to constituents about an issue about a freeway bridge, and the number of issues that people bring up. There's no shortage of problems that we can and should be solving as a legislature. That is the role of what government is supposed to do. You're supposed to hire us to then work on the largest problems that cannot be solved on your own. And unfortunately, people think of us now as just being like your fighter that you select to go in there and fight on culture war issues. And that's all we end up doing. That's basically what we did today in the legislature, in the committees. But you're right that we have a very ineffective, very slow acting legislature. I think we're on record now of only been in the Senate having only been in for a grand total of 7 session days. And here we are in November, 7 session days. And you thought the folks in Washington were doing a bad job of being on week 6 of a shutdown. So as much as I hear where you're coming from, I don't want us to embrace their cynicism. It should be about what is the government supposed to be doing, and it's supposed to be solving the problems of society that we cannot solve on our own because we're too divided. And so that's the work that I'm very interested in. The good news is, of course, with elections coming up next cycle, like we're within a swing of getting the majority in the Senate, getting in the Assembly, and if we're able to retain the governor's office, then we can finally restore the path that we should have been on for the last 20 years anyways.
To that, before we take off, Senator, what should people be doing now? We don't want to wait until get involved, right? Find your local offices, find your local mutual aids, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, right now, I think the measure is trying to recognize that what is civic engagement is not just voting. It is about being engaged on a regular basis and recognizing the danger that exists out there. With every refresh of your social media account, you're seeing it. And the more that you can contact your legislators who are trying to hide from you, the more that you can nudge your neighbors who are otherwise disengaged, and especially those folks who have tuned out of politics because they think both sides are bad, of
right.
Clarifying there's one that's literally trying to burn down our country and turn it over to billionaires. And there's another side that is trying to make bus fare affordable, trying to get access to healthy groceries for people that don't have it, and make sure you don't go broke every time you get sick. They're not the same. So people who know that, tell your friends, get them involved. Then they'll come out and vote in the next election.
Excellent. Again, thank you so much, Senator Chris Larson out of Wisconsin. Kirk Banks, our fearless leader, the owner of Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. Maybe purchase some progressive beer, some woke coffee. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Source Solar, Pride Coffee Roasters, and Kids Above All, as well as our friends at, of course, Minocqua. Ben Cominos, Outside the Box on WHBY. They have an app for that. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Lady B.